All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's funny. Hey, Jeffrey. Hey, James. Hey, Normalizing. Derek, thank you for joining me. All right, welcome everyone. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host. Eight Wind is timeless. I am also the Time Lord. I'm also the Time Walker. I am also the holder of the continuous ball game of the Hero Twins. I am the Galactic Daddy-O, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. We reach out. Unique, thank you for joining me. Read my soul. What's happening? Preston, thank you for joining me. Just laughing at myself. So it looks like we're about to have a storm coming in. We're supposed to get about 2 to 4 inches. So beautiful day up here today. Lazy. A lot of back and forth. Still didn't do what I was trying to do. And it took a lot of time not trying to do it. But, I have to wait on people sometimes. So that's what more you can do. So I did jump the gun. So I poured my beer already, and I'm sorry. So this is Wonderland, Sierra Nevada, 7.5. So pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. Ah. So been a pretty casual day today. Hey, Tiger Strong, thank you for joining me. Been a pretty casual day up here for me. Got a lot of rest, spent too much time in the car, which that's just the life. That is just the life of urban living is moving around through the highways on the car. So just the way of life. And at least I got good music, and I have a massager in my car, and I love that. That is an outstanding thing. Probably should put one in this chair while I sit here. or invest in one of those sports chairs they show. They got the sports, the office chairs. Like you can get a piece of glass, a big piece of glass put down under wherever you sit. And then you can get one of them massage and rolling chairs. And while you're sitting there in your massage and rolling chair, you can get massaged. uh, oh, Sebastian, thank you for joining me. And so it seems like kind of up to you. Oh, that hurt. Kind of up to you what level you want to be at. Your individual comfort. What did you guys think of these? They're really hard in my state right now with the V. The governor is now working with the churches here. Also, he's penalty going to jail in the summer for not having it. I think you mean the mask. Let me tell you what's going on in this state. This state I think the band, because like I live next to a bar. When I have to pick up my son from work, I live next to a bar, and the bar, I think they had a band in there because I saw a trailer like where you'd hold band equipment, and the place was still packed. So, and I know the clubs like our downtown Minneapolis is the money from them here. I know a lot of the clubs was open because my son was saying last night or night before they was up in the club. So all this shit is back open now. Most children are back in school up here. My daughter's been in school for almost a month, if not longer. So it's back to normal here, pretty much. Vaccine, not the mask. They're going to start and go hard. Yeah, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to make that stick. Penalty for not having it. Yeah, that's not going to stick. That's not going to stick for very long. But keep in mind, the states have their own laws and their own restrictions, so keep that in mind. But so it is a state thing, but I just don't see. There's going to be so many lawsuits hitting it. Like it's almost been 1,000 deaths, almost 1,000 deaths, and almost 3,000 injuries, and 34 people have had miscarriages. They may hate me telling these real numbers, but those are real numbers that you can look up and verify. So you would have all that to fight back with. And again, it is going to be a state thing. No doubt about that. It's definitely going to be a state thing. That's the thing that really, if things were going to change, that would be what we would really want to change, is turning the states back into individual countries. That would be more ideal for the people, and to break the federal connection and just keep open trade with each other states. But that's really how it should go. That's really what somewhat what they had before even the Europeans came here. There were several tribes that were a little stronger, but again, we had tribes going all the way to Iceland. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the movement around the Americas was always movement. There was never any land bridge. That is all a lie. The ice bridge is such a lie. So there's always been movement around the world where people would move when things were right. People would, like my family, would move back and forth between the Ohio Valley, North Carolina, Virginia. Some years they'd go into the Ohio Valley. Some years they would travel back. I think this Asagi was originally in New York, and they end up in northern Minnesota, after fighting and breaking away from the Sioux. Genocide. Hello, Mr. T. You look like a warrior. Look like a warrior. Think that's what you mean. I look like, this is twins, baby, twins and champion. Twins and champion. And I love champion. I love champion because back in my Gus Macker days, I always wore the number 14 Royals jersey, but Oscar Robertson, baby. Oscar Robertson, the big O. It was a champion jersey. Champion. Because champion used to have an NBA contract at one time. You can go back and look at old pictures and you can see they're wearing champion jerseys. Now all the teams is pretty much going to have Mike. Nike's barely holding on, but the money's in Mike. That is why more and more teams, they've given Mike more and more control. Where more and more is with that Mike, that Connie Hawkins stuff. But hey, King Kane, thank you. Hey, Alex. Moving to South Carolina was the best thing. I live in Hilton Head area, and we live in our own world. Red states are winning. Oh, that's cool. It's hot down there. That's a different kind of hot. You got a lot of hot down there, read my soul. That's some like almost Arizona hot. Alex Jones, the even Mario, Wario, he means. Evil Mario, Wario, he means. Okay, what's gay King Kane? Little by little, it's going to get worse. They are playing games with the people. Wait until the unleash something really not well. No, I'm talking about that guy who looks like Mario, but his name is Wario. Oh, okay. Guess I'm missing it. Salute Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, Alex. Okay. I guess I'm all right. Okay, I guess like the other plumber, maybe. I'm not really understanding that. I think you mean the other plumber of Mario, the other plumber. I thought his name was Lucchese though, baby. Lucchese. I don't look like Lucchese. Thought that was his name, Lucchese. I don't really know. It's been 78 plus the last 2 days. Yeah, that's pretty warm. But see, in June, July, it'd be like 1,000 degrees in South Carolina, and y'all be like, and that's why people, be moving slow. But to y'all, it don't even be hot. I never understood. When I lived in Greensboro, in North Carolina, I never stood people wearing the toboggans all year round. Like you would see people down there working in the fields wearing toboggans. Like, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I saw it all 7 years I lived down there. People was wearing them in the summer when it was hot. Like it's at some point you would think that you'd give those hats a break, but I don't know. Maybe they keep when you're picking whatever or just casually walking around drinking some wild Irish rose. Maybe that's just you. So I'm not knocking it, but it just seemed mighty uncomfortable from my position to wear a toboggan when it was 102. Now, the wild Irish rose would give you a little balance there, and maybe you wouldn't feel quite as hot. The wild Irish rose probably cool you down a bit. You can get really cold. So I don't know. Teach his own. Not Luigi. He wears green. Okay. Crazy. It's been like certain states are selling a different vaccine. Well, I think I said before. That's what my doctor said. She was like, "Yeah, you're not going to get what I get." That was straight up what she said. I think I said that before, and they like cut my cord. I don't care though. Here I am again, baby. Here I am again, baby. Yeah, it's and the thing is they're trying to do, and I think Saturday Night Live made fun of them. They say, the way to make demand is say scarcity. That's a campaign, a marketing campaign. So, and people aren't really buying it. They are not really buying it. So it's crazy. The heat is the only thing I would trade in. I am 25 miles away from Savannah, Georgia, and they have open container laws. You know where any empty land is? My best friend was living in where the Dow Chemical Company around there, but he's retiring and he's moving to Georgia. He married a girl and he's like she's already living there, and I guess he drives back when he's not working. But so he's moving like maybe 100 miles away in Georgia, I think. So he's moving from South Carolina to Georgia, but not deep in Atlanta. He's going to be somewhere pretty much on the border. I can't wait to see society in 2022. But yeah, but like here, this is the interesting thing about this area. We have so much water. When it gets hot here, we get a hella humid hot. I mean, it gets sticky. It gets really sticky because this water everywhere up here. I mean, when they say a land of 1,000 lakes, like some places say, you got land and you be on a little pond or something. That's common here. That's common here. When I was living in Eden Prairie, we lived on a little pond that froze over. The boys played hockey. So very common here. But it's lakes everywhere. It's lakes, laking and boating everywhere here. So it's all over cheap, empty land, literally so much affordable. And that's not a bad thing. I really wouldn't mind like buying some land, building a tree house, building a regular house, maybe building some small houses, maybe a little small little industry or something. I mean, that would really be, and maybe not do it all year round, but do it for a period, and then set up people that could stay in an area. I mean, that I just don't know how much pushback someone would give for that, or be against that kind of thing. But to me, that would be idea. That would be idea kind of thing, is to offer that and try to maybe grow that self-sustaining community. Again, the biggest thing they want us to do is keep holding on to junk. Because if people start downgrading, a lot of these big houses be sitting because people realize you don't really need as much, because you're not letting a lot more energy come in, because you have so many different energies in here because of so much stuff. Already, what is coming? Nothing good, except, well, yeah, we're stepping into that now. They want to push that on us now. As I said last night, the right to work is about getting rid of unions, and unions are barely hanging on as a thread. But that's what it means. And in communism, the individual is gone. The achievement is for the state. So your skill is for the state. So the more skills the people have, the more people would work for the state. And then the less skills would work in these satellite businesses, technically of the state. And that's what they're hiding it behind liberalism. But what Obama was, and the Bushes. Don't forget the Bushes. Them was some fascists. So the Bushes was about the same thing. That's why Pappy Bush said NWO. That's why he said it. He was like the first really the national person to put that in, throw that spell out there. And none of the news people or anything checked him on it. It was like Rumsfeld, that was his name, when he said the day before 9/11 that they lost $1 trillion. Nobody ever raised a beat. He even giggled and laughed. And that was under Republicans. That was under them Nazis or them National Socialists. Hey, CJ, I peeped the swag, them overalls. Well, thank you. Merrick about to fall like Rome. Pop Pow and Stalin, see how much fun they had. Well, Pop Pow was a direct reaction of when the troops pulled out of Vietnam. The troops were still in parts of that Cambodia. And then when the Cambodia army fell, Pop Pow came in. And they I think the movie is called Not Without My Father. I think that's what it's called. And it's about Colombia. And those of you that haven't watched The Killing Fields, but this is a movie that goes from the beginning and shows how they took all the administrators and they put them all out in the fields and worked them to death and killed a bunch of them. Because you eliminate people, that's less resources the state has to give up. I mean, who do you think when Stalin was trying to starve people to death? And Hoover had to step in. I mean, the President Hoover, I believe his name was. Yeah, I think President Hoover. But before he was president, they had to save the Catholics over there because Stalin was going to starve them to death. All he cared about was the Jewish faith people, but they were starving, and so the Americans had to step in. Gave them loans, made that part of the country self-sustaining. It took 2 or 3 years. But Stalin was going to let all them Christians starve. He didn't care. So that's not anything new to starve people. What happened to Chile was crazy in the 70s. Killing. Yeah, that movie on Chile is really deep. The movie where the nuns get killed and they rape and kill, murder the nuns. It was 6, 7 nuns. Oliver Stone made a movie about Chile that talks about this, which is very interesting. The way they was just gunning people down, having rifle squads. But again, if you look at the CIA and their connection and who runs all of that, their hand was everywhere. Their hands were everywhere. I mean, A lot of these countries now, like several South American countries, still produce a lot of gold. It's a very individualized things, and they have to, pay off gangs. There's armies, little mini armies that control area, and they have to pay taxes to them instead of the government. That's what they do. Hey, Dread, thank you for joining me. So these are some bleak things that has to be considered. That's all. Some bleak things. And it's full moon evening tonight. Yesterday was kind of the full moon came in the morning, so I think technically this is a full moon evening. So it's kind of why I started off giving out sounds and stuff. So again, it's 3 days before and 3 days after. There's actually 6 total days that you can try to manifest. So however you vibrate, however you feel, it still could be some energies if you need just a little extra push. Just a little extra push. So want to put that out there. I'm going to try something in a little while too. I haven't done it in a while. It's going to take me a minute to put it together, but I'll try to put it together. So I talk, I'll think about it. But I want to try and take everybody on a little bit of a ride. Do you want to ride on a little car? How's it go? Magic carpet ride? Do you want to ride on my magic carpet? Yeah, I want to see if maybe I can put everybody on the magic carpet tonight. Give it a try. See if I can put it all together in a coherent way that can take everybody. So if you guys are going to have to give consent though. So once I start getting into it, you got to give consent because I can't do it without consent. Even people see this in the future. You can yay or nay it. You don't really have to go. You can just listen. But if you hear it in the future, give consent, and then you'll be able to move through it or move with it. So you have to consider that. I don't want people sitting there saying, "Well, I didn't give consent," how do I say it? Like, I was watching it and thinking about it, but I didn't give consent or not give consent, and it kind of gave me a headache. Well, you can't blame me. You got to make a choice. Just say yay or nay. So I'm gonna see if I can put it together tonight, maybe another tape. And I'll say this too, and I'll put this out here. I have a screenplay, and I wrote it, and I'm gonna need voices. I was hoping to be done by now, but I'm still trying to nail down the people, so it's hard to kind of without having them fully committed yet. So I've got a couple people committed, but I need to write from the people that have it. So I think it's going to be fun. So hopefully in the next couple months, I'll get that done. And I'm going to actually have a radio-like broadcast, like Earth and Wells did with War of the Worlds. I'm going to use this platform and talk show and put it out there, radio style. So if anybody would like to be, I'm going to need men and women voices. And the way we're going to do it is like we'll do it either on talk show or this, and the people would come in as their parts would come in. So it's going to be a lot of popping in and out. But I think it might be fun. Be able to get it continuous and just have some fun. So, and kind of why I want to practice tonight to give that deep visualization out. To really work with people's imagination, because that's what you have to understand is when you really want to open all this up, your imagination has to be at its peak as well. So you have to, how are you limited? Or aren't you limited? That's the thing. Because if your imagination is limited, then you might be limited on how far you can move as well. Because if you can't imagine it, then it might not be in the possibility for you, because some way you have limited what your extreme imagination would go. So instead of it being limitless, you would limit it. And so certain things would be hard for you to get in. I quarrel with people on Facebook, and I just quarrel with them just to play with them. But the matter of it is, you never change these Smiths. Because we live in a world that are mostly Smiths. I know Bliss makes fun of a lot of different things, but when she says a lot of these things aren't really here, she's kind of right in that regard. That is telling the truth. It is a lot more Smiths. And we saw Smiths. See, we all know the name Smiths, so they have to come up with new names for new spells. That's why they had to come up with the name Karens. See, they spell on their own people. Now, I know Sister started calling them that, but they took off and they started putting it out there. So you have to understand what sells, what gets attention is pushed. But we see this very same thing, and we talked time and time again about the mask. We see who everybody is. And it's sad. We see people with the mask. It is sad that it becomes and this shows you how gullible people are when they put the diamonds in the mask and the sparkles and the cute little things on there, and it's like that's a fashion. Like that shit's a fashion. That is how brainwashed we are. We look at that as a fashion. That is part of our flyness now. That is part of us, what makes us groovy, what makes us cool, what makes us smooth. When you see people on Facebook taking damn pictures with the mask. It doesn't make sense, guys. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you take a picture with the mask on? No, I'll tell you why. It means you fully comply. You fully comply. When you take a picture with a mask on, it means you fully comply. As I told the story before, my friend sent me a picture from Michigan a few weeks ago. And these guys are outside and everybody's wearing masks in the picture outside. And up here, that would be the silliest shit in the world. Because up here, no one wears them outside. And I know other states, but it just doesn't make sense. As I showed in the video, them torturing our young people, making them participate with the mask on. It's torture. It's child abuse. I was with an old dude yesterday, and the old dude was helping me load the food. He was showing me where it was at so I could, what family was what. And as I was loading my truck, and this old dude, I guess he had been sick or something, and came back. He's got the mask on and he's wheezing. And I'm just listening to him. I'm just thinking, and he's probably lonely. I just reading him is like his wife had died. I'm just pretty sure. And he was lonely. So he comes there from being lonely. Gives him something to do. But I'm like, dude, you're not well. And then you put this stupid shit on to make yourself more not well. Didn't quite get it. But that is what they're doing to our people. They're making you think some shit. Think fear is everywhere. Fear is around the corner. They did that shit during World War II. You think anybody's doing Nazi-like shit? The same thing the Gestapo was doing in Germany, they was doing here, Hoover and the FBI. Any kind of sympathies once the war got going, they was snooping around windows and shit. I am in the middle of writing as well. It's called Queen of the Dead, and that's all I'll say. Well, cool, Ryan. Very cool. Maybe we are the wrong ones. If there are more Smiths, then maybe we are the ones who are wrong. The people have spoken, I guess. No, it's more of them. It's definitely more of them. These people have found a new toy, and it's cool to wear something that they could never do before. You wouldn't wear it in a store anywhere in the world. It's toys. Yeah. It's like I was telling one of my friends, I'm like, when he reads my stuff, it's like drug to him. And it's funny how when you look at a lot of liberal people, and when they have nothing else to say, they fall back to the Q shit. Now, do I look like a motherfucker that would study some Q shit? It's just not a motherfucker that I studied. I never looked into was it really him or not. It didn't appear so. but it was never nothing that I pushed like every day. I'm on here and like, hey guys, like even my other channel. When like, guys, you know that Q guy, you guys better watch out. He's telling some shit. And nah. And so, and I think I must thank my allies, because I have an ally at Facebook. She was lighting this, my family member put some shit up, and she lit that shit up. He was trying to say it was actually a type of study by researchers and fellows. She's like, yeah, no, this shit ain't even published. She fucked him up. He put his ass quiet. Then he kind of shifted it and was talking about his daughter and stuff. It just fucked him up. And this is what's funny. I fought with people on Facebook, and I said this last night, where I done remote viewed, and I'm up in their crib and I'm shooting arrows in their back, and I'm watching them type shit about me, because they can't help but think of the words have stung them so much that, and that's the funny shit about that shit. It's like the words bother people so much. People walk around all day thinking about how they gonna answer you. I be writing some shit, I'll forget about this shit for a week. I write this shit and then I just forget about it. But some of these motherfuckers, that shit, they take that shit to heart, and it's just, and that's why I'm saying it's some Smith shit. Because these motherfuckers read this shit and it's like a drug. I mean, these phones is a drug. These phones are definitely a drug. We're all addicted. I mean, this shit right here is a type of that. This internet addiction. I mean, it is a way to get out this knowledge and to touch more people. So keep that in mind. Q is military psyop, CIA, nightmares we live. Yeah, I've never said anything. You do that too. The pen has always been mightier than the sword. Love from Texas. Thank you, Raymonta. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're safe, and I hope you and all your family, what you had to go through was safe. So, kind words. Thank you very much. And so that's the kind of traps that this thing wants to play. And it's like, why? And this is the question. You might even have to ask yourself, when you feel a certain way about things, why are you defending something? Why do you feel the need to defend something? You follow that? Because truth doesn't have to be defended. It's just truth. You don't have to defend it. It's just there. And that's what I have to ask people. I'm like, why do you defend the beast? I don't get that part. Why do you defend the beast? And I thank my allies on here. I've been getting some very intelligent comments, and I thank you. Some of you guys are really brilliant. And that's why I welcome all minds. I welcome all minds. I like other minds that study other things, and then you break it down, and I'm like, okay, I understand where you came from putting that in there. I appreciate that. Because a lot of people put some thoughtful stuff in it. You guys should go read my comments. My comments are positive for the most part, other than I get the normal porn people, but that comes with the territory. You wouldn't think a little channel like mine would be the idea channel to promote your porn, but hey, I guess you get porn in where you got to get it in. So that's just part of the hustle. And I must admit, I again don't mind having to erase hundreds of bots a day. I guess I don't miss that. I mean, when you have one show that does 60-some thousand views, it's a lot of erasing. Oh, but let me say this. I think my man Moray, Quicksand, I think he just said he did 20 million views or 30 million views. His hit is on the top 100. iHeart Music has been playing it. I have an iHeart channel, and they've been playing Moray, Quicksand. So, and this is funny. It's like the song is kind of old now, and now it's just coming on the radio. But I vibe with it for weeks, and just happy for the young man. Just happy for the young man. So those of you that like music. And hopefully I'm getting a turntable and another speaker next week. And I know I'm getting Marvin Gaye. I'm going to get that one. I might get the Jimi Hendrix one. I'm not sure. That greatest hit that they sell it. But I'm going to go to Barnes and Nobles, get some more, definitely some Coltrane. Definitely some Coltrane, and start listening to music on the needle again. And getting that kind of vibration, because it's definitely a different vibration. So I know a lot of maybe younger people aren't used to that. You're just used to digital music, but there is a different vibration with the needle and the vinyl. It's a pure form of the music. I mean, one thing, if you looked at when tapes were played, when you had a reel to reel, you had a very strong, almost master-like. I mean, you got to understand what a reel to reel was. You almost have a master of the music. In some ways, the reel to reels was so just the way the system and the way it picked up the music. So I'm not saying that there aren't other systems, because a reel to reel was very crisp music as well. But again, it's almost like you're making a master of something. It's very sophisticated equipment at the time. But just hearing that needle on there, because that's, in most cases, older music was recorded to be played on needles, whereas music now is not. It's made in mind that it's going to be electronically put out there. So I want to throw that. I've been aware and awake too long. Sheroes of this government. And sup. Together, yes, they have tried to make us think there. We hope. Do everyone? Okay. What's the question? You can never beat them. That vinyl warmth. Yep. Even the amp hiss, crackle. Indeed. So when I ever read the comic book, The Dark Knight Returns, it was a story of an older Bruce Lee or Bruce Wayne. I have not. So vinyl proves we are going backwards. The old way was better. Yes, read my soul. Yes, yes. In some ways it was. It was a pure form. It was a pure form. Like you were saying, the hiss of the tubes, even going from tubes to like transistors and stuff. The different kind of circuits when they went off away from the tubes. Yes. Hey, PJ, thank you for joining me. No, I have not. I have not read that. I have not read that one. I must admit, I did not read that. Must have left my glass, my water glass. All right, let me see. What time is it? Yeah, I'll chop some more. Before I get started, I'll chop a little more. Yeah, somebody had wrote me today. What did he say about the over and under on what game was it? What was the over and under? What game? Yeah, the Brooklyn game. If you guys watched that, yeah, they put Hardy. One thing about, I'll say this: KD's injury and Davis's injuries is almost equal time missed. If you see what they're doing, they're both equally missed. And so what Glenlund said was, anybody watch the Dallas Brooklyn game? 64 points in the first half, 32 in the second half. 130-135 game. The rested on Harden, and Dochi allowed second half. They put stop that game going over the 2-2-3. So instead of being over 235, it was under. So yeah, I noticed that too. And I'm going to, here we go. Oh, here we go. So I hope this person doesn't embarrass you, but Eugene Newton, you guys need to read his comments. He's helping the nest, guys. He's definitely helping the nest. And so check his comments out. I appreciate his work, that he has such thoughtful work. So thank you. I appreciate your work. I appreciate you. If you read the story, it talks about the times we're in Hey, you put my ass cold to sleep last night with them bells and chimes. Well, okay. I'm glad because yeah, it can make you trance. It definitely the tunes can make you trance, really can. And that's the beautiful thing about the sounds. Again, going back into creation, there's a sound of creation. That's why I say, in the beginning there was the word, and then the word was a letter, a number, excuse me. But also before any of that, it would have been a sound. In the beginning, there was a sound, and that's what's left out. That the sound of it, because how could you get the word without the sound, and how could you get the sound without colors? So it goes a lot into that. Well, thank you, normalizing. Very kind to say. Dark Knight Returns animated film. Okay, I have to check it out. But a lot of predictive programming, has been offered these last few years. I'm just looking at my incense. Tired of cat smell all the time, so fighting back. Before this incense was even lit, it just had the whole room smelling really strong and good. But yeah, I'll check that out. But a lot of predictive programming has come out over the last few years, telling how these future times are going to be. The Tupac video, Mad Max. I mean, they've been predicting this. What have they been? The kind of zombie kind of futures or radiation futures with atom bombs and stuff. But in both futures, it's like going to be dog eat dog, pretty much. Civilization crumble. One thing that didn't come to pass was fully Back to the Future. Back to the Future showed Trump's rise. The last Back to the Future showed Trump's rise, and it didn't end as bad for us as it was before Marty saved the day. So remember that. Wasn't that bad. He didn't mess things up that bad. And that's what I don't get. It's like I called the motherfucker Uncle Imbecile for 4 years, and people are like, you shouldn't talk about Slow Joe and Sister Girl. It's like it really, like when I say Uncle Imbecile, they didn't say shit about that. But now I'm talking about Slow Joe and Sister Girl. My mother's like, well, you shouldn't call names. It doesn't look like you're intelligent when you call names. You saw him going crazy about the golden Trump. It's like these people and the media. See, this is what the media did. Obama got in. They gave Trump a lot of press saying that Obama's not American. That's keeping Trump's name out there. They gave Trump a show for a couple years before his running. Now that's the same thing when you look at who you think are going to win these games. You look at the ratings. Look at the ratings of these games. And I'm sorry I left it in the other room. But you can look up all the ratings all week, and you can see who, and then you can look up even I think they call it, and I know the Q thing again, but I think it's the power Q ratings for each actor, actress, and sports person. That's why I look at who are they going to put in these games that cost more. Like right now, Gonzaga, it looks like Gonzaga got shamed last few years. I would not be surprised if they put Gonzaga in the finals. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, will they let them win? That too would be going backwards, because in the 50s and 60s, we had smaller colleges winning it all the time, or smaller universities. I mean, not colleges. Well, one time, certain schools were called colleges, but it looks like for the shaming they did the last few years, they might get rewarded this year. We'll see. And Duncan Garcia and Marquette is on. They love Marquette. My cable region loves Marquette. I see Marquette play at least once a week, and the boy from here in Prior Lake plays. Well, guys, I am going to share something. One of the most important parts of my show. It is called Who Are They Fucking With in Prior Lake? Report of a resident left their garage door open overnight. So it says residents left their garage door open overnight and found their service door propped open the next morning. Cash was missing from a door near the open area, probably almost 1,000. And they stole some other stuff. Report of a noise complaint located a 43-year-old man who had a warrant for second-degree burglary in another county for ignition interlock. He was trying to break into a car. He was arrested for outstanding warrants. Escape from custody. Officers dispatched a man and woman fighting on a residential street. So they must have not been in the house. Police heard one of the subjects say their vehicle was stolen. They fled when the police approached them. They drove into the reservations, exited their vehicles, and ran into the woods. So dark woods, they figured they could get away. I guess they thought the cops didn't have flashlights. They were located by the reservation people. And the man was arrested for fleeing in a motor vehicle and a felony warrant. While driving through Mystic Lake parking lot, officers noticed a suspicious vehicle and found it was stolen. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it's like Mystic Lake is the most favorite place for stolen cars. It's like for some reason, motherfuckers say, you know, I want to steal that car to take me to the casino. Like there's no cameras seeing you get out of the car. When you get out of the car, you are on a film in the casino on the grounds showing what car you got out of. And found it was stolen. Police located the subjects who arrived in the vehicle and found a large amount of a suspected narcotic. I don't know what a large amount is, but again, you have a large amount, which means you probably selling out there. That's what I'm guessing. But why didn't you park the car like a mile away from all the cameras and shit? Then walk to the casino. I just don't get it. And so a 34-year-old man was arrested for possession of a stolen vehicle and fifth-degree possession of meth. The other was arrested for third-degree possession of meth. They got different degrees of meth. So I had a big bowling ball of meth. Is that first degree? It's like, Mister, we're watching you, and you have a big bowling ball piece of meth, and we're gonna have to get you with first degree meth. Then you go to court, and they're like, well, what does he have, officer, or what does he have? Well, he had this big bowling ball of meth, and you know he's just walking around with it. He had it like on a leash and shit. Oh. Now this is what I think happened to me. Report of a catalytic converter with approximate value of $1,300 near me. And I think mine was stolen too. Dang, that happened yesterday. I needed to get something anyway. Excuse me. Oh. All right, so I'm gonna have to get my my private eye stuff out and go get these mugs because I think they got mine too. And this shit ain't cheap. So there's somebody around here doing it. There was another one taken in this area. Two subjects were acting strangely in a business parking lot on the highway. Officers confronted the subjects who had outstanding warrants and gave them fake names. They had a medical emergency and an ambulance was called. While the ambulance was in motion, he attempted to jump out of it. He was arrested for outstanding warrants and cited for giving false names. So he thought he was going to get away, and he's riding on the ambulance. And he busts out the back and shit. So that concludes who they fucking with in Prior Lake. You see, they always fucking with somebody. Well, look, I've said this before, and I'm going to go to the casino, and I'm going to plead with the casino people to let their meth heads go. Why do you think they take meth to the casino? So you can gamble longer. Free your meth heads, Mr. Blake. Free them. They obviously have money for meth and they have money to gamble. What's the problem? Give them, look, in Pennsylvania, you can go shoot heroin in downtown. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, you can shoot heroin. Why not have hotel rooms built for meth? Put some of your rooms for meth. And just tell them, as long as they do their meth up in the room, they're fine. Even let them do it in the car. Even better. Why are you getting your valuable meth customers? Why are you harassing them? All they want to do is take meth and stay up all night and gamble. That's a win-win for you. Better yet, you supply the meth. I would do a 2-for-1. 2-for-1. Give them 2 pieces of meth and a pipe. They have the option of renting a room or doing it in their car. It would drum up double the business. Since they wouldn't have to steal cars, and it would solve a lot of police work. You are criminalizing the meth heads. They're your most valuable customers. Every week, meth heads come out to your establishment. So it has to be a correlation. It's something attracting the meth heads. Now, I think the question is, you don't like meth heads' money? That's discrimination. Isn't it, guys? If they don't like the meth people money, you're discriminating against them because they are meth heads. I think that's against the law. And I think the the AAU should be called. Somebody, LLA, whatever it's called, somebody should call them and speak up for the meth heads. I'm doing it now. Mr. Blake, hear me. You have a good thing going out there. You give a place for meth heads to go where they're stimulated. After they do their meth, they just want to sit behind the machine with shiny lights. And they keep feeding it money. You make money on them. So don't arrest your customers, baby. Look how desperate they are to get up there. Now, you're pretty desperate for customers too. You drive almost an hour away to go get motherfuckers. That is a fact. There's buses that go all around. When I lived in Minneapolis, I could catch a bus. You'd bring me down here and you'd bring me back home. So meth heads are making it to the casino on their own. They're not even asking you to pick them up. So free the meth heads. Meth heads out there, I'm going to work for you. A vote for me is a vote for you being able to go smoke your meth at the casino. We're going to have a strong platform. The agenda's getting pretty bad. What is a surface secondhand experience? That's the Czar world. And we just got hit with a massive thunderstorm. Wow. Bringing hard drugs into the city one way, how you destroy and demoralize a country. Man, we're notorious for meth and heroin here in Philly. Wow. Art of hitting your enemy in all fronts, behind, front. Okay. They make more money off free labor by taking them to jail. No. Read my soul. No, you don't know what happens. It costs them to take people on meth to jail. They got to give them methadone. That costs me taxpayer money. You keep them out there, you don't have to give them taxpayer methadone. Well, maybe, but when you arrest them and they don't have their meth, you have to give them methadone. So to me, I don't like, okay, I'm the sheriff. I'm going to quit arresting meth heads. If they have less than a bowling ball of meth, I'm letting them go. Now, if they drive or not, that's a little dicey. But if the meth head has made it to their destination and they have less than a bowling ball, they should be free. They should not be discriminated because they want to go gamble. So obviously that's how they work their jobs all week. And they just want to come to your casino and do their meth. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see the problem. Free our meth heads. That's what I say. They make more money. Free our meth heads. I say free them. Quit running your business away. Who does that? Who runs their business away? I don't know who would run their business away, but they harass the meth heads. It's just comedy, y'all. All the problems in the world can be solved in 2 years. It's pretty simplistic. I'll say this, like right now, I don't really have a lot of problems. It's pretty smooth sailing. Um, the intensity of all the elections and the lies coming through that is over. And so now we're just, we're stuck until 22 for some things and then 24 for the others. So I'm just like, I'm like a surfer, dude. I'm just waiting to ride the next wave. That's all I do. They throw waves my way and I just ride it. So, you know what I always tell them? Don't bother me because I can't cope. That's what I always tell them. Don't bother me, baby. I can't cope. Meth heads and crackheads will work their asses off to get a fix. They will. Look, do you guys know how heavy front loaders used to be 10 years ago? Front loaders have concrete washers. They have concrete, sometimes up to 50 pounds of concrete in their base of old front loaders from 2010. I knew a man on crack that it took 2 people to lift one of them belt things. You know how they can put them belt things on and they can lift like 10 refrigerators? They put those belt things on and wrap their shoulders and like they can lift just, like small buildings with it, as long as they get the straps on it. This nigga didn't need any of that. He just picked the shit up from my basement and walked it out the house. Me and my son struggled with this mug. My son was about 13, 14, somewhere in there. This dude just picked it up and walked it out the house. He said, "Where you want it?" I'm like, okay. Do you want the front or back? And he just shook his head. He said, "Where you want it?" Like, up there. Take the shit out the door. He just grabbed it and some shit that it was one of the most heaviest appliances I've ever tried to lift. And this man just picked it up and walked it out. Like, hey. So yes, I like that kind of labor. I told the story last time I did have my pipes busted. Crackhead fixed them very cheaply. Came in, brought his own tools. He just wanted one in his neck. And once he got one in his neck, he went to work and no problem. He built me a door that they begged me to come out before they could knock it down. They would have never been able to come in there. They finally, they did like the ship in the bottle and shit and sent the shit through my toilet system and it came out my sink. And there's like, "Mr. Macon, will you please come out here so we can talk to you? Because we're breaking all our equipment and it's obvious we can't get in there." They was trying to smoke bomb and shit and the shit was just bouncing off and coming back at them. Finally, they blew the house up and the house blew up and the door standing there and I was up against the door. So the house blew up, but the door did not. Now that is good crackhead work. Probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, you would think that everything blew up, but not the doors. That's why I kind of knew I was safe. I hung up close to the door, and as the house was blowing up, I knew that was a good door because that crackhead put all his effort into it. And some of my friends, police were mad. A lot of my friends had those kind of doors. They were sitting there trying to break in, and they couldn't get in. Finally, they got him and put him in jail so he could no longer make doors they couldn't kick in. Crackhead and meth heads would be truly helped to be the people they were truly meant to be. Bastard have destroyed so many. Everybody has choices. They do. Everybody has choices, and it's and yes, I laugh about it, but it's a thing that people choose. It's like that doctor now has wrote a book about him being a heroin addict. I mean, this guy just straight tells you this is how I get down. Every night I shoot a little bit of heroin. I still got a job. I still function. And as I said before, in the 60s, there were thousands upon thousands of heroin addicts in Michigan, around Detroit, with good jobs. They were just heroin addicts. But heroin was very cheap and affordable. Some people like that. Are we going up or are we going down? Heroin opium give you the beautiful dreams. That is what people love about it. Is the nod, is the dream of leaving this reality, breaking through. And it's very the breaking through is very close to the breaking through. If you took DMT, you took some acid, it's you get a very clear blue kind of picture from that kind of experience. So all that shit should be legal. Why are you fucking with them? We all have incentives to drive us. For some, it's drugs, sex, money, peace of mind. You can't choose these things. Were never created. Weed is grown. Crack and meth are made by scientists. Yeah, but there's powder cocaine in those leaves. So, yes and no. Yes and no. But it's a choice. It is a choice. And I know I make light fun of it, and it's not. It's not in a lot of ways a funny subject. It's not. It's addiction, and there's really nothing funny about addiction. I'm just lightheartedly talking about it. But I think any grown person has, again, it's what their choice is. And you're saying certain things you can drink. It's like the whole world closed down, but you could still drink. Because what do you think would have happened if they'd have closed the liquor stores? People would have been breaking into the liquor stores. Y'all know that, don't you? If they'd have closed the liquor stores, people would have broke into liquor stores. And even if the trucks start flowing from the companies and stuff, people would have been breaking in looking for where the liquor is, breaking in the restaurants. Up here in Minnesota, there, and I know this isn't related, but people are breaking into high-end bars, stealing liquor. Instead of stealing money, they're stealing booze, but the good booze. Okay. Where's it coming from? Okay, enough. The weed now are clones, GMO. The biggest drug dealers is CVS. Yeah, they are. These people destroyed millions and millions of people from everything. Where to go? Done to this planet. We got a more negative stigmas away from drugs and its users. That's true. We do. I may have never tried crack, but if I went through a whole bunch of shots and have created no conscious spirituality, then shit, I don't want anyone telling me what I can and cannot do. Yeah, normalizing. I truly hate these people with every ounce. It's again, the aim of it was to destroy certain people. It was to demoralize, despiritualize, and criminalize people that they eliminated the people's jobs. Like even me, and other people of my generation. We have every expectation to keep working for General Motors, keep working for Kellogg, keep working for Post. I mean, we had every right. People in Detroit working for Chrysler, working for Ford, working for General Motors. Used to be American Motors, Jeep. I mean, this is what the next generation expected to be available. Places that had both unskilled and skilled positions. I knew a friend. The guy was he probably graduated from college or high school in 75. He was working at what's now Pfizer, used to be called Upjohn. I'd worked there briefly. maybe about a year. And I remember this guy, I knew him, and I remember he was talking to somebody else. This guy was a chemist. This dude was a chemist, took all his classes and all his learning. He didn't do one day of college. Everything he did was through Upjohn. And they made him a freaking chemist with a high school diploma. And he had never went to college. And he was kind of laughing. He's not with us anymore. I'd known him for a long time, know his family. Went to school with my cousins. But I just remember him saying that. And that used to be available. The classes, shop, automotive repair, all that, woodworking, plumbing, all these kind of trades should have still been out there. But they did the lie of college, because college became those loans became a new way of slavery. And so you had people taking first class jobs or higher paying, but because of their college debt, they were still middle class with their bills. They were still, because of their debt was so high. So these people couldn't move. What did they say? Move on up. They couldn't move on up because of college debt. But the system put that in. The system kept these people down. So it was a trick. How many human clones do you think are living on the planet? Well, Ryan, I would look at it like this. Where would they be necessary? I think mostly, I don't think they're walking around in most cases. I think what they're being held for is they're being held to be for body parts. Right now, that's what it appears. They're more being held. Remember the movie with the dude from Star Wars? His clones got out. Remember Johansson was in it, and his clone got out and found him. Remember that movie? So I still think they're being used like that. Now we got step-ins and we got these non-humans walking around here. I think maybe that's what your question is. So I don't know necessarily that clones are that out here like that. Again, they would be more useful as people needing them as they got sick and needing body parts. I think that would be a greater use than actually having these people out here, unless you need a specific skill. Now, if you cloned a person that had that skill and that's the skill that you had, but again, it doesn't seem like they can accelerate the growth. So, do you have the time for that person to get old enough to do the skill? Or can they take that person and say, well, he learned the skill at this point in his life, so if we give him this same kind of stimulus, maybe he can do the skill younger. And that's possible. But I just see that would take such a long process to wait for that person to grow. Whereas you just grew it as a body where it's not activated, the original host could use it. So that's what I would guess. Don't, because you are born whatever you are, I don't know what they did. I know they take you, Maine clones come out of Atlanta. They have centers. Had a clone everywhere in the chat, and me had a clone. Keep laughing. Gemini Man. No, that ain't the movie. Oh, maybe it is. I don't remember. TMTV and Hollywood made a ton of clones, if you think about it, not knowing need for TV programming. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. All right, I get you, Ryan. So okay, I understand. So yes, Hollywood clones, yes. So instead of burning up Britney Spears or burning up Rihanna or burning up these other chicks, it's easier to clone them in that regards. Okay, yeah. That way, they're able to not burn up the original host and pass the original host. Whereas Marilyn Monroe had to fuck a bunch of people. Now they can just send these clones to these people. So yeah. I am very clumsy. Don't fit. So yes, I would say that is a use as well. But in general, uh, this is ridiculous. But in general, yeah, I think a lot of them are being used for parts, other than stars. Got something else. Everyone had a clone. I'd like to have a conversation with my clone. Me too. Me too. Again, everyone has a person might have in another country who knows about how they do get out of movie body possessions of movie body possession. When NBA players go watch the Drummond Green freeze, if not the snaps back when he hears his name. Kind of the same way with Shaq was, but those people might have just not been activated. They might have turned them off, like the one they showed with Beetle and Jalen Rose, and they all look frozen while before they're on television. They might have just turned them off for a minute, like when Shaq got froze and got stuck. Now, again, if that's a step through, there was a malfunction in the technology, or even a synthetic. That would kind of say what that would trigger that kind of response more than anything else. Don't know where that went. Couldn't have went too far. So they hit the switch. There you go. So I'm gonna do the divination now. Everything is over here. So aren't we on day 10 or 11? Yeah, we're on Chin, and I believe Chin is day 11. Yes. So it's 13 platoons, 0 contunes, 8 tunes, 5 Uno, and we are 11 kin. And monkey, artist, trickster, principle of intelligent co-creation of the highest life, and the energy is coming from the west, baby. So if you want to manifest this Sunday, your energy is coming from the west, and that is the fractal. For anybody who wants to absorb it. And again, I love showing this card because it does show the day god and the night god. In the original codex, that is what this represents. In this image of the card, we see a monkey and the skeleton showing a connection between two extremes of life, the dynamism of the monkey and the immobility of death. The monkey holds a knife and death holds a heart. The fact that they share the same heart is showing that both have different sides of the same being. Although the image of the knife and the heart may call to mind human sacrifices, the Toltec did not practice this. The meaning of the image is rather deeply spiritual. In the abstract thinking, the Toltec understood the importance of being aware of our mortality in order to give it to life its full value. In their symbolic language, the knife represents enhanced intention, also called second attention. The skeleton or skull means transcendence, and the heart represents life. Thus, the image represents achievement of transcendence in the life that comes as a result of managing attention under the awareness of our mortality. The transcendence and special managing of awareness is what we call wisdom, or which is the context of this card. Getting this card means you have a need to develop a passion of learning and understanding. Okay, can't do that. To learn a vacation for traveling deep into the realms of knowledge. The skills to teach each other. It is important here to consider the Toltec concept of teaching, which requires understanding of their concept of learning. In their perspective, the learning process did not consist of the teacher having the knowledge and giving the knowledge to the student. On the contrary, it was the student who would get the knowledge by him and herself. The word for learning process was a Minoloka stock, which translates into teaching yourself. In that light, the role of the teacher The role of the teacher was not to represent or him as herself some as the source of knowledge, but to support the student in the process that they can teach themselves. The bottom line of the Toltec sage was there is no other teacher than the Great Spirit, and the human teachers are just supporters of the great teacher. They help apprentices teach themselves by connecting directly with the Spirit without intermediaries. This is a sharp contrast with the modern attitudes of teachers and spiritual leaders who put themselves at their higher place to be admired by their followers, who so often make profits out of their students' devotion. Because of the commitment to connect with their Great Spirit without distracting intermediaries, there is no such room in the Toltec tradition. When a teacher forgets his or her connection with the sacred source of knowledge, the soul dies, and the result is a living fraud who needs to worship others to live in his or her own lie. Maybe practice yoga, become a trainer in one of those disciplines. Not a lot of hints to kind of move through it. Sorry, the movie Prestige is one of the best films that goes into cloning and body doubles for a magic trick. Oh, interesting. Also proves why the use of the earbud. Who knows how to get body possessions of NBA players? Watch German. Yeah. So proves Ryan, watch the movie The Boys of Brazil. They hit the switch. Yeah, I've watched The Boys of Brazil. Hitler cloning movie. Yep. It is a Hitler cloning movie. It shows they got away. And not only they got away, that they were training other little Hitlers, and they each had the same distinctive personality. That's a very old movie to show you that they got away. Not only got away, the Americans helped them bring them over and hid them. And didn't really hide them. They was giving the Jewish faith people money. Because all that stuff about they was getting killed, that was the biggest hoax in the history. That was one of the biggest hoax. How these people only had 10, 20 to 100,000 people in all Europe. In some kind of way, all of a sudden, these very people that have been leaving Europe since the 20s, the National Socialists and the Jewish faith people worked together to go to Israel, to try to take those lands over. So they don't like hearing that. They don't like when you can see people at them camps and playing sports, having bands, showing that drug's supposed to be they gassing people, and the drug took lice off people. But today them people still get money from the Germans. America gave them money. America didn't have any hand in any bad thing against them. And America gave them money. Now, America locked up the Japanese folks and gave them money. But they don't want to give back the lands. Because, see, that's the thing where they tricked the people. It wasn't, why would you want money? You stole the lands. That's the lie of slavery. See, the slavery take you off the land. But if you go in as a American Indian, you don't want land. You don't want money. You want the land back. You want the holding back. That makes more sense. That's what should be given back. I mean, think about the original Utes and the original tribes in Utah. The Mormons been there about 150 years, so they think that's their state. They feel they killed enough of the original people there, and that they deserve that state. And every state's like that. We would give and give and give and give land, and it was never enough. It was never enough. Then they want to tell you all the slavery, and they fail to mention when they brought all them around back during Reconstruction in the early 1900s. When they brought all them slaves over, that really did come over on boats. That's why I point that out in The Godfather, Godfather 2. That's who came over in the boats, was them. Again, we get into Gang of New York for a great reference. But they want to tell you you came from somewhere else. And you know, that lie was created in England. You know that, don't you? That lie was created over in England to lie to the people in America. That's where Garvey was trained, by the people that created that lie. Garvey was part of that Back to Africa shit. Black people spend the reparations money right back instead of getting the land. Yeah. Well, I talked about that about a year ago. What would have happened is if they gave, I mean, just let's just say a round number. Say they gave all the brothers and sisters in the country 25 grand. Let's just round that off. All of a sudden, all these tennis shoe companies, all these jewelry companies would come in the hood. Rim companies, cars, used cars, all of them would be in the hood for temporary businesses to take that. They would pop up everywhere. And I talked about that before. They would pop up in places where there ain't no businesses right now. If they gave everybody in the hood that much money, these businesses would pop up. Now, if they did give that much money and the people said, let's hold it and create our own financial institutions, they would declare war on us. What did they say when we weren't going to participate in Christmas or Thanksgiving? What did they call that? If you talked against that, they called it economic terrorism. So if the people just decided to hold on to that money and pool that money together, they would almost look at that as an economic terrorism, because they would expect us to blow it. They would expect us to have big rims. Rims cost more than the car. Never understood that, but that makes some people feel good. I mean, do you understand that some people, unless they can put rims on a car, they don't feel that the car is everything they desire. When they all go the same. It's like, think of you driving down the road and somebody just zips by you fast. And then you both get stopped at the same stoplight. Look at the difference of the energy put out. You just cooling, driving, listening to your music. This motherfucker is zipping through, but you land at the same spot. That person's thinking he's getting somewhere further than you are, quicker, but yet you come at the same spot. So do you see the waste of energy in one compared to someone to just let it naturally flow? Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to need, I think I'm going to need the names. So I'm going to need the names for reference. I'll try to make 2 parts. It'd be 2 slow parts. Don't know how. Okay. I don't. Let's see right here. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not feeling it tonight, guys. I'm going to need to practice. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Kind of little, a little nervous about it. But maybe I'll, and I'm probably not going to have the names in here. So I'll just get into a little part of it. All right. So in the beginning, these Titans were playing the continuous ball game. And as they continued the game around the world, one of the gods in the underworld was coming quite disturbed. So every day he's just hearing this thump, 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 thump. And he's like just not getting any rest because he's the god that just likes complete quiet and complete control. And every day he knows they're up there and he's like, why won't they stop just this thump, thump? We need to stop it. So his his friend comes and like, well, let's play them in a continuous ball game, and if we defeat them, we'll cut off their heads and they have to stay here, and then they'll stop playing. So the god said that's a supreme idea. So he talked to the two guys and he sent his people to bring them down and play in the continuous ball game in the underworld. So the gods start playing the 2-on-2 continuous ball game. Back and forth they go, back and forth they go, between the two brothers against the two gods. And then back and forth they go, and back and forth they go. And then finally, the gods beat the brothers. So both the brothers get their heads cut off, and the gods can rest because this noise has stopped. So one of the heads, as it comes off, it lands on basically a corn plant. The head grows into the corn plant. One of the god's daughters, hearing all this, walks up to the plant. The plant skeets on her. She's quite surprised. She doesn't know what to think, but she goes to that gentleman. She leaves the underworld. She goes to his mother's house, and she says, I am pregnant with your grandchildren. The mother doesn't believe her. She's like, where's my son? She told her, your son has been killed. He is now represented in the corn plant, but he has given me his seed, and I am now pregnant with twins. So the mother takes her in, delivers the boys. The boys are very mischievous, never stopping, very smart for little boys, but always moving around. And one day they find their father's equipment. They ask their mother what the equipment is, and she explains to both of them it's for the continuous ball game. She tells them the story of what happened to their father and what happened to their uncle. So all they do is practice the continuous ball game. That's all they do. And to the point where they're big enough to take on the gods. So they're playing the gods, and the gods don't play fair. Because the way the fathers lost, they cut their heads off very early in the match. Same thing happened to one of the brothers, and the other brothers put a pumpkin on his head and said, let's go. Let's go get their ass. We ain't got time to let that stop us. And the hero twins defeated the gods in the continuous ball game. So the hero twins go back on the earth. They go back to the grandmother and say, Grandmother, we've avenged our father's loss. We're going to plant the father near us so he can spread corn throughout the land. She says, well, that sounds good, but you're going to have to clear the land first. Now, the brothers looked at each other. All the brothers wanted to do was play the continuous ball game. They didn't know anything about wanting to clear this land. So they went to where they're supposed to clear the land, and they noticed there were a lot of birds there and stuff, and the birds liked their sunflower seeds, and they're like, let's trick these birds into clearing the land. So they played a little game with the birds, and before they know it, the birds is clearing the land because they place the seeds every so often. The birds done cleared the land and planted the seeds. Here twins are black playing the game. The grandmother hears them and calls them and says, what happened? Why aren't you clearing the land? It's like, we have. The birds did the work for us. She's mad again, and she says, well, you need to build a home for you two. Because you can't, keep playing the continuous ball game living with me. They didn't know anything about building land, building a home. So again, they go in the woods and they trick these monkeys. These monkeys had something very similar to what they were looking for, and they tricked the monkeys into building this home. They gave the monkeys some tools and some incentives and told the monkeys it was a game. Before they knew it, the monkeys did all the work for them. And so the boys could continue playing the ball game. That's all I got for right now. I'll add more later. I know I've said some of that before. Garvey was a bona fide sellout. Yes, he was. W.D. Du Bois, yeah, so he was too. All these people, yes, they are. Well, Rosa Parks wasn't the original. The original case wasn't in Rosa Parks' name. The original case was in that young girl's name, who was 15 and pregnant by a 30-year-old. That is why they picked Rosa Parks, who was a light-skinned secretary. That is why, like, when you look at a picture of her on the bus, That ain't the picture of the day. That is a pose picture. There's a picture of her in the report. If you know there's a reporter sitting next to her, I mean, that should be the giveaway that the picture is fake. She's sitting next to a reporter. It's like she's in one seat, and the reporter like has his arm like out, and he's looking. That's a damn reporter. So that's how fake Rosa Parks' story is. Thank you, Mr. Rosa Parks. And who bought her house and shit? Somebody bought her house, and like that's a national monument. And the original girl that did the case, she's forgotten history. I don't know if y'all remember that. Yep. Claudette Calvin. There you go, Valerie. Thank you. Yep. Controlled opposition. That's all Malcolm X was. That's all King was. I mean, hell, King changed his name. Him and his daddy's name. His daddy learned about the American Indians over in Germany. That's why, what does King say? You know, they've got the Indian thinking that he ain't even in his own land. Then he goes to tell what they was doing for the Europeans, as they was telling the Europeans to go out west and teaching them how to use the land. But remember, they killed the land during the sandstorms. They mismanaged that. That story of America that was done in the 80s shows that too. They killed the land because they weren't rotating crops, planting the same thing. Didn't matter the soil, planting the same thing every year after year, and they killed the sand and soil. That was one of the few times they were punished. And I'll say that with my tongue in cheek, because again, it was working people. Regardless who they were working people. And so they didn't deserve that. But see, again, they didn't know the land. This wasn't natural for them. They abused the land, and they got penalized for abusing the land. Hey, Ryan, what's happening? Thank you for joining me. Oh, what Jimi Hendrix say? Something funny, and I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Purple haze is all around. I don't know if I'm going up or down. And that's why I have to laugh as I philosophize. I just have to laugh because it's not all about being serious. You know, I'm trying to give a little bit of everything. A little South American spirituality mixed with the soulness. You know, we got sold and we're super bad. Forget that. What soul is. What was a book called? The Soul of the People. I am full of people because I love the people. Did Skull and Bones create the Nation of Islam? Did they give them money and land to get started? Obama was the first perfect an X, and you look at him, he was a perfect robot. I agree. Read my soul. They're pushing the Johnson and Johnson. Yes, they really are. Okay, Preston. Valerie. I would say no. I would say no because what you have to look at is both Farad and Elijah Poole was part of Noble Drew Ali's program. And so Noble Drew Ali was in Chicago. He was murdered in Chicago, but he had a mosque in Chicago. And all they did is again, Poole was in jail for about 10 years, maybe five or 10 years. And when he came out, they took over that. But they went into Detroit and set up Mosque number 1, and then they went to Chicago and set, Mosque 2 or 3, something like that. And so, yeah, I could see them setting up some money for that in Chicago, but I don't know about where Yale is. I don't know about where the Skull and Bones is, that campus. I think that is in Massachusetts. So I don't think in that regard. I'm saying maybe if they supported him after they killed Noble Drew Ali, they didn't want another person they didn't control. And watch my brother's video about what he says about that latest, about the Popeye Bulls and about the Vatican trying to think they own every soul, because they really think they do. The Vatican thinks everything belongs to them. They think every religious thing belongs to them. And that's when you look at how all the Europeans came into America, it was under the doctrine of discovery. That's why you see paintings of Columbia. They use the goddess Columbia, saying, manifest destiny to control these lands. They even lie and try to say, well, there wasn't that many people living on the coast anyway. So if we kick some little ass to get them off those lands and push them further west, there's plenty of land. Till you push them out to the Pacific coast or push them into Mississippi. And then if you get into killing of the flower moon, they marched all these people and they gave them the most fucked up land, and then the land becomes valuable, and then they change the laws again to try to steal more money from these people. And not just steal money, murder them. Mass murder them. Over 100 people over the land. One European dude would be married to the sister, kill the sister, marry another sister, get the lands of her children, and the government was letting this happen. So you can't say all laws are good laws and all laws benefit the people, because they would change these laws. Just as we see the NRA talking about gun. When it came with brothers, they stopped the brothers from being able to carry rounds as they walked around. Live rounds in your gun. But to that point, they weren't against that. So you have to look at, are any of these laws that these Americans create, are any of them fair? This is my disagreement with the shot. We have a government that has lied about everything, creates these fake wars so they can depopulate. That's what Vietnam was about, getting rid of baby boomers. The most period where people were born. There had never been as many people born during those periods, which are called the baby boomer periods, which starts in 45 and ends in 63. That's why my brother, who's about 4 or 5 years younger than me, is not a baby boomer. He's born in 66. But I am. And Vietnam was nothing more than kill those people, to chop those numbers down. And 50,000 and plus counting. Some people dying from their wounds years later. I mean, look at the amount of people that died in World War I and World War II. It's just amazing. And they play this thing over and over again. Like, look at when they do Army Day, whatever it's called, Military Day, and all the people start showing their military picture and people saying, thank you for your service. And they do that because people were shamed when they came back from Vietnam. The propaganda that the news put out there is these baby killers. John Kerry put a lot of that propaganda out there as well. They didn't come back as heroes. Even in Hamburger Hill, the brother says all he wants to do is go home and wear his shiny jump boots around. And what does the guy who came later tell him? Don't wear your uniform because people will attack you. Here's a brother that's saying the thing that would make him most proud is to show everybody he had made it and got his jump boots. He was an airborne ranger. He lived a life of danger. Couldn't even do that. Not only is a nigga, he a nigga that got the army outfit on. And the anti-war people would attack you. You know they was getting off the plane from Vietnam if they was wearing their jerseys or wearing their uniforms. Some of them would have to go in the bathroom and change to regular clothes so people wouldn't fuck with them. But when they came back from World War II, they got big parties and women want to give them some. People kissing you, just randomly kissing you in the middle of the street. And then when the Korean War ended, people didn't know shit and it was only a police action. Well, let me take it back to where I was saying about military people and military day. And let's be honest why people join the military. And maybe I said this last night, and I'll say it again. I begged my brother, don't go into the military. I said, if you go into the military, do what your cousin did and go to ROTC. But it goes back to the point of the people that were joining the military were poor people. Think about you're a senior and you see all these people going to college. You might see the people playing sports teams. Maybe you're on it, getting scholarships, so they're leaving. And there you are. And the only thing you could do is work at Burger King or work at some low-paying factories, because all factories didn't pay well in the 70s, given that time period, 79, 80. And you're stuck. But you want to go see the world. So what do? You join the military. So you get to see the world for 3-4 years. Poor people who have no other options. You know that Jimi Hendrix joined the army because he was joyriding with a car and it was go to jail or join the army. So Jimi Hendrix was forced to join the army. Luckily, he broke his ankle. He had his airborne Rangers, but he was doing more jumps and broke his ankle and got a good discharge. But that's what they used to do to people. You'd be in court and it's like either you go in the army or you go to jail. Again, poor people don't have good lawyers. But I'm looking at Facebook and I know some of these people personally, and I'm like, poor, 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 poor. And none of them are officers. And I must have said this the other day again. Back in 82, 83, my brother was going to join the military and make $11,000. If I would have went into the military to be an officer coming out of first lieutenant, I was going to make 25, almost double what this grunt was going to make. Even today, the money's not nothing. It's the health benefit that's the hook. If you look at the health, if you look at how much money soldiers make now, it's almost $7-8 an hour, and that's with the health benefit. And I know those numbers. There's a lot to go into saying those kind of numbers, but that's basically what they made. It was, and this study I'm saying is kind of dated, but the basic study they did one time, it was like they was making $5 an hour, paid twice a month. So it's not a very rewarding career. You make low money, or you might get killed. What's exciting about that? Well, we'll take you to another part of the world to go get killed. I'd be looking at them like, I'm the one that's supposed to be high, not you, buddy. But that's a lot of the choices. I mean, they've been showing films where you think the Army walks around here at Prior Lake with all these $1 million homes. Prior Lake has something like the high school has 2,000 plus students. You know how many cars is out there? Probably over 2,000. That lot ain't empty. Almost all these, the only people that don't drive is mostly freshmen and people poor like my children. But almost everybody drives. A very fluid area. You think military's out here? There's a film that shows this. They're not allowed to come in affluent areas. They're in the mall. They're in the Burnsville Mall. You think they're in the Mall of America? And Burnsville is a little less area than Prior Lake. They ain't in the affluent areas because people can go to college. Again, I told my brother, I said, look, you got 2 cousins going to ROTC. His 2 cousins, one became a captain, was a navigator on B-52s. The other cousin was flying F-16s, worked 30 years at Delta. My brother became a sergeant. I think he was a radar operator. You see the difference? And he knows I'm not trying to put my brother down, but I'm like, you could have had a career just by following my advice. Now, again, college ain't for everyone. I'll say that. But I'm just like, look at this. Dave did a map. And my cousins, I'll say this, my cousins were poor as they came. My ex-wife and my two cousins, the cousins that did ROTC, that became first lieutenants graduating, they were poor as they came. There was 10 of them. And there was a way you could get a full grant that you ain't had to pay back. My ex-wife went off this grant. My ex-wife was living on a damn plantation. I kid you not. When my ex-wife was very nervous about taking me home. She lived on a plantation. You had to drive through these fields, and her house was almost a mile back in the woods. It was a two room, one kitchen house, no running water, outhouse. The first time I went to her home was 1983. Now, how many people, and I know I'm talking to younger people, but to me in 1983, that shouldn't have been a possibility. It should not have been a possibility that people were still living like that in 1983. I had never even fathomed that people still live like that. And I didn't look down. I was very helpful. I was glad. But it was like a real wake up how dirty and ugly America still was. And I know a lot of people listening, that's, you was born after then, but that was, but see, it shows you how long Reconstruction really kept going. I tried to say the Reconstruction ended in the 60s, but I'm just giving you an instance that showed you Reconstruction continued to the 80s. To the 80s. Reconstruction was almost 100 years. That was the real slavery. My stone went somewhere. What did I miss? Corruption. That's why I joined the military. You wanted to get away. He actually, okay, or did you join ROTC? He actually told my mom that the military is no place. He's never had me. Dude, sign up to get a challenge or a Camaro. Or a Camaro. Mr. Jeffrey, only one at a time, Mr. Jeffrey. No two posting at a time, please. Do not dominate the post. Let other people have a word in. And it's no knock to anybody. I understand. Social economical. It's all about social economical. My brother was in the same situation. He saw me leave home. He saw friends going to college. You didn't want to be the one that had to go work in the factory. Even though factories paid well, they was frowned upon. So I understand the need to get away, to do something else. I mean, I left home at 18. I never lived in Kalamazoo again. I had girlfriends that lived in Kalamazoo, and I kick it with them, but I never lived there. When I left at 18, I never lived in Kalamazoo again. I lived 20 years in Battle Creek, but I never lived in Kalamazoo. I left. And we still have that going on today. I have a friend. I pray for him every day. What else is he going to do? What else is he going to do? Two friends. I have two young boys, both from very humble homes. Known them. Well, I haven't known Harold as long, but Matthias, I've known him since he was a little boy. And I pray for both of them daily. I told the story of Harold. We just talking shit about the military and how we knew a dude. And I've told this story before. I know a guy that was in there 9 months, went over to Iraq. We watched this, and the guy was an asshole. I'm going to tell you the story. He was an asshole. And the guy went through school and all that about 9 months. 10 months he was in Iraq. He had both legs blowed off, hit IED. He was only in country less than a month. Had both his legs blowed off. They bring him back here, celebrating, build him a house, give him the bionic legs. You see the agenda? Pushing the bionics. Pushing the bionics. But I've told Harold this story. And Harold, all my children have very similar, like their friends. And Harold's like, my goddamn legs ain't getting blowed off, so I don't give a fuck what you say. And as my friend says, like the man that smoked cigars till he's 112, he had no fear. He had no fear. And that's what the answer Harold gave. He had no fear. It's like, my goddamn legs ain't getting blowed off. That's how you should feel. I had the same story. I had a friend. I came back from college. He had just came back from Fort Knox. He was a tanker. And he was just going on and on and on one day about how tanks were indestructible. And I'm like, wait a minute. You know, again, I've always studied about everything. And I'm like, you know, there's a missile that'll blow through that tank armor and blow you the fuck up out that tank, don't you? He had never heard that shit. Because they don't teach you that. It's like, yeah, they got a goddamn missile that will burn through that metal and blow you the fuck up. He's like, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, I'm not kidding you. We can go to the library and look the shit up. But see, he had got fed that propaganda at Fort Knox. He was getting all that propaganda that tanks is indestructible. Not indestructible. There's some shit they can fuck about. He said, but true, that's the only incentive. Always when Durant doesn't play, even if you are a shit beyond the keyboard, you're still killing people, not playing. You know, I'll say this. I ran across a dude that was a Navy person, and he was they was launching. He was in the Iraq war, but they was launching and shit. And he was really fucked up because he knew that the bombs he shot off, and he was one of the rare people I came across when I was armed guard. We used to deliver money, work with the cat, and he would just start crying and shit while we was at work. You know, I'd be high and shit, and I'd just look at him. He's like, you know, he just have a fit because he's like, you know how many people I killed? I'm like, okay. Because, you know, I was the one that had my finger on the trigger. I'm like, okay. But it fucked him up. You know, it did fuck him up. You know, I let him cry, and, you know, inside I was laughing at his ass, but I let him cry. But that, you know, I understood where he was coming from. It was kind of funny the way he was going about it, but I still thought it was funny. But he felt pain from launching missiles on motherfuckers. Like when you look at the Army commercial and they bombing and helicopter and machining motherfuckers, it's motherfuckers down there. And they got the one shot where the helicopter is just throwing missiles out. It's shooting at people. I'm surprised the Army does that commercial because they are shooting at people in this commercial. They're showing a simulated war, but they're shooting at motherfuckers. When you see them down over these houses and shooting into these houses, it's people's. And they show the commercial. They don't show us like it's some military shit. They show the commercial like they're fighting in the urban environment. They never show the other enemy. The commercial is just about America bombing shit. And it is social economics. It is. The people themselves don't even know. You know, it's a bitch sitting home and you seeing everybody else leave. And you stuck at home. And if it's only McDonald's, Walmart's, and you got all these friends leaving, and before you know it, you hanging out with seniors and older people that done passed and ain't did shit, and there you are with them. It would make you look at the military a little differently. Because you might at that young age say, this is no way to live. There's no purpose. I'm not seeing the world. I'm not growing. And so for a lot of poor people, the way that they feel to grow is join the military. A lot of soldiers from the Middle East wars messed up in the head because they know they was fighting corporate wars, killing innocent poor folks. Yes, yes, that is very sad. Um, what did Ali say? There ain't no Viet Cong ever call me nigga. Now you have Nation of Islam people try to take claim of that, but most people say he said that shit off the top of his head, and it made them hot because here's the psyop of trying to sell this war, and here comes this heavyweight champion that said the most powerful truth that at that point had ever been said. Why should I go kill another melanated person when I don't even get respect in this motherfucker? And even though Ali in his own way was a sellout, he said some powerful shit that still lasts today. Because that shit can never be unsaid. Why am I killing melanated people when you ain't even protecting me here? You are my opposer. You, he looked right in the camera and said, you are my opposer when I want my freedom. You are my opposer when I want employment. You are my opposer for the unjust courts. And Uncle Sam smacked him back, but he put that truth on their ass. And it made, there was a movie called The Ugly American. That's what Ali put out there in their face. And motherfuckers hated Ali. And Ali copied Malcolm. He went from campus to campus. That's what made him popular. That's what made baby boomers love Ali. Ali took Malcolm X's role. And he went from campus to hustle. That was the one thing. They wouldn't let him. They took away his passport. So they wouldn't let him fight. So one way to make money was, again, when he do interviews, he charged money for the interviews, where before he just let motherfuckers come up and talk to him. But he went around the college campuses. He did the grassroots work. And that is why so many people loved him, because he did go to the people. And yeah, later he became a sellout and all that, throwing fights and shit. But we still look at a motherfucker off the cuff, put it out there. He put it out there. He showed the ugly American. And Uncle Sam is the least motherfucker looking in the mirror. You want to talk about other rights, and that's what other countries used to always say. How are you treating those melanated people? They'd be in the UN, and they didn't want to hear that shit. They trying to tell the Soviets how the Soviets were, and the Soviets like, you don't treat them niggas right either. Well, that's different. You don't treat the natives, the American Indians right. Well, that's different. That's different. That was always the American Indian. That's different. Even today, you want to talk about the treatment of people in China, but still, look at here. Now we have the fake killings, making you fear the police. Again, not looking at the real enemy. The police ain't the enemy. That's all those are, psyops, to have a fake enemy. Because if you look at the police as the enemy, you don't look at the government as the enemy. You say not the whole thing, just them. That's a psyop. Instead of saying, okay, maybe they did some fucked up shit, but y'all gave them the position, y'all gave them the permission. The fucked up shit come from y'all. The police ain't our enemy, it's them. That's why this bullshit, when they went to the Capitol, that was bullshit. Wasn't no killers in the Capitol. You want to put that shit on Trump when them Democrats sent them people in there. The Democrats did the disease. They brought Fauci. And Fauci owns Moderna. Or he started up Moderna, who has shots as well. Fauci was during the fake damn AIDS shit. It was the little elf. Then they bring this elf out again. And it goes back to what I talked about in the very beginning, the motherfucking Smiths. The motherfucking Smiths. That's what we have. We have conscious people and we have Smiths. Or Karens, maybe that's the more appropriate word. And remember, everybody can be a Smith or a Karen. You can be talking to a motherfucker 1 minute, and the motherfucker is your friend, and next minute that motherfucker turn into a Smith or a Karen. You can walk into a motherfucking store with a mask on and just pull it down to rub your nose, and all of a sudden Smiths and Karens is looking at you. You completely changed the mood. Where these motherfuckers activated, they turn right in your face. Your loved one can do that as well. And when I talk on Facebook, I don't try to change Smiths. I try to make them realize they are Smiths. And a lot of them never wake up. And it's like you can't save anybody. You can't. You cannot save one person. You can put the information out there. If it turns them away from being a Smith, then you've done your job. But if they don't get it, don't waste your time. Can't be Captain Save-A-Hole. Smiths and Karens is they outnumber us. I mean, being a god is lonely. You listen to me, you're more than likely, if you're not a troll, you are a type of ghoul. You're a type of god. And being God is lonely. You know the saying is lonely at the top? Being a god is lonely. Because you're on the hill awake, and the valley of the Smiths and Karens. You walk around and that's all you'll see is Smiths and Karens. And you know how you know if they're a Smith or a Karen is just do a little bit that it's out the norm and they show themselves. Again, it could be a family member. You just do a little bit out the norm. A family member, your friend. And so all you can do is put the information out there. You don't put it out there to change anybody's mind. You put it out there because it's the truth. It's your truth. I'm not trying to convince or convert. That's impossible. You can't bend the spoon. That's impossible. You have to realize that there is no spoon. You have to realize there is no spoon. So you're not talking to real people most of the time. You're talking to conditioned people of the program. Now, if people approach you and they want to be broke out of their chains, they've come to you and you can see where they are and you can see how much they can absorb. And that's all you can do. When I put this shit on Facebook, I put it out in the world. For the one person, I got 5,000 friends on that shit. I put out something so one person might hear it. What is the Paul letters? Those that have ears will hear. Just like what I put out on here. Those that have ears will hear. But if you're a Smith or a Karen, you'll never hear me. That's the point I try to show when I try to, when you get into flat plane, I just try to show you that example. You can't really talk to a person about flat plane until you put yourself and you create a flat plane and put yourself so you can really communicate with them. Because really, they're not the same area you are. They are living the flat plane while you are living the different plane. So you have to put yourself where they are. And it's not necessarily lowering yourself. It's just having the same mindset. So you understand each other. So you can hear each other. So you can communicate. A lot of times when you go in the ethers, you be seeing motherfuckers talk to you and you ain't hearing it. Something you ain't doing right because you ain't hearing what they saying. So you got to go back and work on your bag to put that shit in your bag. So at least you can take your headphones with you and like, okay, what the fuck you saying? Oh, okay, now I hear you. That makes sense. You have to adjust. Because even in spirituality, you have to keep adjusting. It keeps going. You keep learning. You keep teaching yourself. That's what the card said. You teach yourself. You teach yourself spirituality. You don't rely on others to teach it to you. You teach yourself. You find the good in you. You find the spiritualness in you. I can tell you that the ethers exist, the astros exist, the Zar worlds exist, but you have to do the steps that it takes to put you there. Like a friend was saying about DMT or even the mushrooms. Might give you an incomplete situation because you're not doing the work to prepare you. A lot of times you take that shit, it's like being on a goddamn jet. You seatbelt and it's going to shoot you through and you won't learn anything. Because the shit you should be paying attention to and learning, you're just blowing by. You can't skip steps. And the first step is loving every moment. And somewhat loving everything. I didn't say eros, I said loving everything. Being able to look at others with compassion. Because the Smiths and the Karens was created not to understand. If you've got 50 friends, it might only be one friend that will hear you. I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook, maybe 100 hear me. Most of them are caught into the thing. They're Smiths and Karens. They defend the beast. They thought that Slow Joe and Sister Girl was a victory for them. Buck dancing. Emulating Sister Girl. And they really thought they won something. But wait a minute. Didn't the same thing happen when Obama became president? It was going to be a change. And it became worse. The psyops became worse. And more of the psyops, these fake shootings, fake terrorizing. Again, not making you think that the police is the enemy and not the government. That's what them psyops were for. They want you to think the police are the enemy. I think this is sandalwood. It really smells good. It's old sandalwood is a old incense. Really smells good. All right. All right. Here we go. So just imagine. Where do you want to be? You have to figure that out. Where do you want to be? So all of us are looking at the ocean. We're hearing the birds, smelling the salt. You can smell the sand. You can feel the wind against our faces. And we want to look at this ocean and we want to look at everything like it's the last time we'll see it. So we have to notice every detail. Don't let any detail go away. Because in this moment, you have to love. So when you listen to the birds, love that you can hear the birds. When you feel the breeze against your face, love that you can feel the breeze. When you smell the salt water, love that you can smell the salt water. Feel the sand, you can smell it, you can put your feet in it. And you're surrounded by all that is moving. And right now, you are totally disconnected from the simulation. Because the simulation doesn't want you to love all this. The simulation just wants you to just go there as fast as you can and then leave. But no, we're not being rushed. We're going to stay here and we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it all with love. We're going to take everything that we see, hear, smell, feel, and we're going to love it because we love the minute. Put yourself in your home. Look up at your pictures. Look up at everything, the carpet, your colors, and feel and look at everything with love because this is what you've done. Doesn't matter how big or how small. This is yours. So look what you bought and look what you put in there. And look at all with love because you've created this. So don't let anybody ever tell you you're not an artist. If you've put one piece of furniture in a house, that's an interior decorator. You've changed it from being empty. And love that you live there. Wherever chair, couch, however you're listening to me, look around and love it because you've created this. And at this very moment, you are a Gould because you've created this. You're a creator. You've done this. You've put yourself here. So be joyful at this moment. Nobody's knocking down your door. You have basically peace and quiet. Love that. Love that at this moment, you can love. Knock every worry, knock all those away for the moment. Because right now you are perfect. Right now you have everything that you need. Because everything you need fits you right now. For you to be able to hear me, I don't think many of you are stressed. This is just casual time. If you're on the East Coast, it's extremely late. So you chose to be here. And I hope you find it pleasant. But I want to sit next to each and every one of you to let you know that you are the greatest. That everything you've put around you is just perfect for you. As I look around at each and every one of your places, it's perfect for you. And as I sit there next to you, I'm joyful that you've created all this. And then you can sit in such power and creativity, and it is perfect for you. You don't need anything else at this moment because you've created all that you have. You've put your heart in everything that's around you. If you have children sleep, you get a double bonus because you've had to create for them. If you have a husband, you have a wife, whatever. That's another bonus because it's hard enough to be a human being by yourself. But you've shared the space. And if they're in another room and give you the peace of listening to me and being alone and letting you do your thing, love them for that. Love them that listening to me doesn't bother them. That you can have your time to hear me. Love that person even more. Being that they're asleep, they don't care, it doesn't matter. Love them even more. Because they're giving you the freedom to choose what you want to hear, what you want to mentally ingest, what you want to mentally bring in. Love that about them. But love yourself. Look at your clothes that you're wearing. Think about the moment you chose your underwear. You chose your socks. You chose your pants. Whatever you're wearing right now. Think about the color you chose. Maybe you just put it together, you got pajamas on, but just look at it. You've chose all this. You've created this. You bought this. You designed it. Feel joyful in that moment as well. You paid for the internet, your cable, so you can hear me. Be joyful. Never compare yourself to anyone else. You are too great to compare to anybody. You are unique by yourself. There's not really another one like you. You have power in your uniqueness. So at this one moment, We have a community. We have a nest of just brilliant, loving people. Because we have people that love the moment right now. Because the moment right now is all we have. And right now, we all feel good. We just feel good because who we are. And at this moment, we have everything we need. And so this moment, we are great. Because you've done this, each and every one of you. So as I sit next to you, feel my arm of encouragement. That I'm proud of each and every one of you. The future people that watch this, if you ever get this far, I'm proud of you as well. If you need me at that moment, you hear my voice to come next to you and put my arm around you, I will. Just to show you I'm proud of you as well. Because you've reached this point. So right now, we're not thinking about what the world is doing. We're just thinking about right now, how you feel. And right now, I sense that everyone feels good as they can. Because we're only worrying about how we feel right now. That's what we can control. Every breath. That's what they don't tell you about yoga. Every breath. It's not creating these deep type of breaths. It's every breath. Every breath you take. Every time your internal organs move. It's all doing it for you right now. So you have to think. You have to go inside and think your internal organs. Think those worlds, those meridians that help you heal. Yes, acupuncture turns them on, but you can turn them on. Go inside yourself and thank your body for feeling good right now at this moment. Go inside, feel inside of you, and tell the worlds inside of you, thank you, I love you because you are working hard for me. They put this bullshit in our bodies and call it food. But we don't care about that right now because all we care about is that we feel good right now. And we thank our body, despite this bad air, despite this bad food, that right now we feel good. So I'm joyful. And I thank everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until we meet again.